Chuck Warfield. Alice Rodwick, not present. Cheryl Johnson.
Present.
Mike Wynn.
Present.
Rick Phillips.
Have
The opening remarks.
Exactly. Do you have it? Does anyone have any opening remarks? On the board? Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are. Yes. Okay.
So just under 3D and 3E, those items should only be discussion only. No
Oh.
action can be taken on those.
Okay, so
just
we need to do those.
be aware of that when we get to sections 3D and 3E.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, we'll take public comment related to the items on the agenda below. In consideration of others who may also wish to provide public comment, please avoid repetition and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Is there any public comments on any of the items on the agenda? Any? Doesn't seem to be any. At this point, we're going to have items for discussion and possible action of the Caliente Planning Commission. 3A, approve and deny meeting minutes for March 17th, 2021.
The only thing I see different in the minutes, it wasn't ever in the minutes that we approved to have 3 other items on it, and they didn't come on this agenda. That was Jamin's and the cats and trailers.
And schedule date and review agenda topic for the next meeting, that's there, but it didn't come on this agenda, and that's my apologies.
So does that go on the next, or it goes next?
Would anyone,
You know,
On number 4.
on item 5,
No, that's fine.
does anyone want to make a motion?
And we might want
approve?
to change on the minutes. We were supposed to have it on the 7th, but it's been changed tonight, so do we need to correct it that way? Or is it okay to have it in the minutes saying the 7th? It will be our next meeting.
Yeah, we don't want to change the minutes if that's what was discussed that night.
Okay.
As long as
Okay.
that's what was discussed that night, I'm pretty sure it was, and we want to keep it.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes.
I second the motion.
Okay. This time we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve and deny Howie Hopkins' request for a conditional use permit to build a garage and a shed within 1 foot of the property line at 760 A Street.
I'd like to point out on this item that the agenda item itself says 1 foot offset, and the plan that we have from the applicant is he wanted to do 2 foot 3 inches, and Bree Laurel, who owns the property next door, wanted to have it at 3 feet. So Mr. Hopkinson's representative is here, and he and I have discussed it, and he's okay with 3 feet.
And Bree's, what was Bree's reasoning for 3 feet?
There's some difficulty over the property line itself, where it actually is.
Are they looking into that, or, I mean,
Well, she claims to have had it surveyed by the local surveyor, that,
I was just wondering, you know, we're talking about 9 inches
Yeah.
according to what we have on this map here that Bob did.
Well, there was some discussion about whether that property line is correct. They have Bree has the fence 3 feet onto what she thinks is her property from the property line. So if we put the other building 3 feet away from what she thinks is the property line, she doesn't have a problem with it. And from the property line, this document here says it's gonna be 2 feet 3 inches. If you guys take it upon yourselves to move that 3 feet to 2 foot 3 inches, then we'll be in good shape.
It looks as though all of the responses were positive that were sent out. Was there any negative that came in late or anything like that?
So if I hear you right, and if this map's right, if he has to move it 9 inches according to this map here, right?
Yeah,
Then his garage that he already has is gonna be off-centered 9 inches the other way.
no, because it is already 3 feet away from the property.
But the drawing we have here is a straight drawing. It's not expanding any other way. Is that right, Bob?
I'm not quite understanding.
Okay.
Here.
Okay, if you have your map here,
Yeah.
the map says it's going along right where the garage is now.
Okay,
And
see
just
the line?
extending out, right? Just straight out. It's not flaring out and making it wider after the old garage. It's just going straight down.
Well, right where you see that line to the right there, that's their property line, plus they moved their fence another 2 feet over, which I guess it doesn't matter. But anyways, that property line, I measure from there over where the old garage is, it's already 2 feet, the old garage is. So I lined it up with the garage. Now what he's saying is, we might move it over 3 feet, which will offset it from the garage.
That's
So
what
it'll
that's
be
what
on
I
this
that's
side.
what I was asking.
Yeah.
If we go with what she says, the new part after the old garage is going to be 9 inches off-centered from the other garage.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, the other garage is there already. So we're not gonna.
Yeah, but I'm just
we're not
saying.
gonna make the guy move the garage.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, is that something Howie would like? I mean, would he accept that?
No, we don't have a problem going 3 feet over from the property line. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And staying there, that's fine,
Yeah.
instead of the 2 feet. We were going the 2 feet to line up.
Yeah.
To line up at the gate. If he's gonna be a foot offset, that's not a problem.
Okay.
And Bree does not have a problem with the existing garage. Gotta remember, they're putting up a bigger building here, that's gonna be a higher building. So, he doesn't,
And if I,
the existing, actually, that's not even a garage anyway, just a, utility building. I'd hate to try to get anything other than a motorcycle through that building.
yeah,
How tall is the building? I'm not seeing that. I could be missing it. How tall will it be?
how high is the building gonna be?
How high is the building?
How high is the building gonna be? That's a good question. I'm gonna say 10 feet, no more than that. I'd say 8, but no more than 10. Ceiling I'm talking about, not pitch.
Yeah.
It's not a metal building.
So it
You
could,
wanna know what the height is from the ground, from the concrete to the peak?
Yeah, there's
I
some
don't know
existing
until I find out
requirements,
what kind of
right?
building's been up.
What can it not exceed?
I'm sorry.
What is the code, or what is the limit on the height?
Well, it can be over, 24 feet anyway, without a special use permit just for that.
Right. I'm just making sure that they know what the limit is.
It's gonna be a one-story,
One.
shop garage building.
Okay.
okay, and I don't have a problem with all this, but in our description on asking for the special work permit, there's no specifications, how high it's gonna be, if it's 1 story or 2 story. All we do is go by what people say. On this, when I see this, I don't say, it's a 1 story garage, or,
It's just a 1 story, it's not a 2 story.
I,
And that would say most, well, you got an 8-foot door opening, so you gotta have a 2-foot header above that, so that's 10 feet from the ceiling. And whatever the peak is, the peak would probably be 4 feet. If you're gonna go by that.
I know, but what I'm just saying, and for everybody's in here, when you look at his work permit, he just says the garage storage shed within 1 foot of the property line. That gives us no clue what he's really asking. Now, the map shows us, but it doesn't say if it's 1 story, 2 story, how high it's gonna be. And I'm not complaining that he shouldn't have it, but we need to have more description, so when we have to make a decision, we know what they're actually talking about. Because I know, and I know Howie, so, but anyway, a lot of people would, if they had that, they'd stretch it farther. They would stretch it farther. We've had that in the past happen to us on a place where they couldn't build a garage the way they wanted to, so they attached to the house so they could build it the way they wanted to. Anyhow, that's another story. But I'm just saying, when people fill these out, we need more description, don't you think?
Yes, I think so. On this, when a motion is made, can we make the motion and then just say not to exceed a specific height?
Yeah, so you guys can put any requirements you want. So if it's 3 feet from the property line, say 3 feet from that, I don't know, it's west on my page. I doubt it's actually west. But yeah, 3 feet from the property line, not to exceed 24 feet, whatever you guys want, I guess. And if it's in violation of that, then someone's gonna have to inspect it and write a violation. But yeah, I would make it as specific as possible so Mr. Hopkinson knows exactly, or his representative knows exactly what the requirements are for that building.
And are they gonna access through the alley? Is that the plan?
He'll come in from the alley, he's already got a gate, I think it's
Yeah.
probably a good 15 feet, maybe 20 feet from the
Yeah.
alley on his property.
Right.
There's a fence and a gate there, and a shop's on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Drive, whatever you wanna call it,
Yeah.
shed. It's gonna be on the other side of that gate, so he's good 15 feet from the alley, 20 feet.
Okay.
From his property
Yeah.
line in the alley.
Yeah. I'm just getting it all clarified for,
Yeah.
yeah, because I drove by there today and looked at it, you know.
Me too.
And of course, I've been over there before. Tom, with the fire department, it's not a problem. Because a lot of times, you know, in some of these special ones, they have, the fire department used to have an issue saying they can't get equipment through the two places if it's too close.
Well, in actuality, you can't do that
Anywhere.
on that property because there's,
Yeah.
one of the reasons that 3 feet is the number that was picked, is there's some big trees
Yeah,
right there within, next to the fence.
yeah.
So, in actuality, unless they wanna dig out those stumps and cut the trees down and everything else, they'd have to, you know,
Is this
all that before number one, I'm not gonna let somebody build a house over, or a garage over a tree stump. Because tree stumps have a habit of continuing to grow, and pretty soon the building's gonna be a skyscraper.
and it's a metal building, right?
The what?
It's a metal building?
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess I haven't specifically added, is this in an R1 residential zone, Ken?
I'm sorry, try that again.
This is in a residential zone, right?
A residential zone, right?
Yes,
Then, according to the ordinances, no accessory building can be over 15 feet, is all it says. And that these accessory buildings shall not take up more than 25% of the total lot space. And so those are the requirements right now.
yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, it sounds like the building's only gonna be 10 feet high, as long as the building comports to that 15 feet, no more than 25% of the total lot area, then the only thing that you guys really need to discuss is, I guess, the property line, as long as the rest of the building already comports with the ordinance.
And that was the only objection we had from anybody, is extended another 9 inches into the property instead of 2 foot 3 inches.
And you've discussed with Howie, he's perfectly okay with, you've discussed with Howie and he's perfectly okay with it? These masks. But Howie's okay with
Howie's okay.
the
with
3 feet?
3 feet.
Perfect.
He's not okay, I'm doing it. I don't care what he says.
All right.
He'll be okay, don't think.
Okay, perfect.
Does there need to be any specialty drainage with just the, rather than the 10 feet, the 3 feet? Does any of that need to come into play?
Well, the 3 feet needs to be noted on your action.
No, I'm talking about any drainage issues.
Oh, no.
If it's, okay.
No, that's all, everything slopes well over there.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion on this item?
Yes, I would like to make the motion that we approve Howie Hopkins' request for the conditional use permit to build a garage shed within 3 feet of his property line at 760 A Street, and it's not to exceed the 25% of his area, so on and so forth, that we know, and 15 feet high.
What'd you say on the height?
Per their guidelines, the 15 feet, which is already in
As
our.
high as we can get?
That's what the ordinance.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, Bob? No.
Would anyone like to second?
I'll second it.
Take it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve or deny Nolan Avery's request to lower the city's base flood elevation requirement for his motel's new laundry room.
Here we are again, right? Trying to keep my building as low as possible.
It's like that commercial at Smith's, you get those lower prices and they're dancing down lower, huh?
Okay, and you each should have one of these.
Right.
And the top portion of that is a quotation from the FEMA flood elevation requirements for the base flood elevation. It says that the base flood of elevation is the limit, or gives you the limit on it. When this ordinance was written, there was a lot of discussion on it, and this happened, and one of the times that I was not involved in the city operation. I don't know where that 2 feet and 3 feet came from. I thought at first that I had written them into that ordinance because I started the ordinance. That ordinance was created while I was not part of the city operation.
In between your
And
stints,
in between me,
working and not working for the city.
right. And so when I started looking at it, my recommendation is that we follow the FEMA rules and regulations because that's what they're there for. If FEMA's okay with it, then why shouldn't we be all right with it? Why would we force a property owner to, if the finished floor is down here, why would we have him go up here another 2.5, 3 feet with a finished floor? That's just extra expense. And it meets the flood regulations for the base flood elevation. And Nolan has no problem with that at all.
Yeah, I still have to go up 2.5 feet from the elevation right now, but at least that'll put me in FEMA's base flood elevation above that.
Right?
And the only place you would have to do is just that one laundry room area or what?
Yes, be right
To expand. Okay,
Not saying there won't be future, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
yeah.
Yeah, 'cause having the right rate at 2.5 feet, I still have to, you know, keep in mind ADA rules, I have ramps I have to build. I have to put 2 20-foot ramps, so as is. And if I went up that other foot that I asked you guys, variance last time, well, that's another 12-foot ramp. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Franklin and I have already discussed this, and we're going to jointly work on revising that ordinance to get it to where it says the base flood elevation is what we build to, not above it.
So, as you're working on that, can we give him a variance so he can get started on that? Is that the plan?
That's the plan.
Okay.
He's like everybody else. The contractors, for some reason in town, are just snowed under. And his contractor has got a time frame where he's planning on doing this, and we don't want to mess him up on his scheduling. So we give him a variance to do it, then we'll change the ordinance belatedly.
So at this point, are we requesting a variance for him to proceed, or are it seems to me that, or are we requesting to change basically the rules?
We have to give him a variance, right, Franklin?
That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, so we'll work on amending the ordinance, so it's ordinance number 166, that was passed on December 3rd, 2009. We'll work on amending the ordinance. At this point, this board is only concerned about whether or not it grants the variance.
So, can we give him the variance tonight? Or do we have to wait until he meets, sends out the letters to everybody around to get the approval?
That's already been done.
Okay.
We have to do that before we can get it on the agenda.
Because it's a different form that he filled out than how he filled out.
No, it's the same form.
He just asked for a request on this one. The back page is a request.
Yes.
I'm not,
I remember filling out that form that, let's call it neighbor's form.
Yeah, so technically this isn't a conditional use. It's under a different ordinance.
Okay.
15, subsection 15 of the ordinance, let me check real quick, just make sure I'm not speaking out loud here.
Just gonna keep all the paper. This way.
Linda, I have a question for you.
So this floodplain management ordinance is not part of planning and zoning, under the planning and zoning ordinance, where the conditional use permits come in. So it's not that it's affecting neighboring property values or anything like that. This is a separate floodplain management ordinance, just to ensure that everyone who builds is following probably existing FEMA flood guidelines, right? So technically, my thought is that this would need to be sent out for notification to neighbors because it's not part of that planning and zoning commission, section 15 of our ordinance. And so right now, he's just asking for a variance from our floodplain management ordinance that was passed in 2009. Technically, I don't know if this is, I mean, it's been kicked to you guys, so you guys can go ahead and do it today anyway. I don't think it would be necessary for anyone to come back under this specific ordinance before the Planning and Zoning Commission. I think if they were just to go before the city council, that'd be sufficient since it's not technically a planning issue.
Yeah, so that's why I asked it, so we don't get somebody else to come back, well, you did it for Nolan, how come we have to go through these hoops? So I just want to make sure we're doing it the right way, so we don't have to say, okay, you favored him, you didn't do it for us.
Right, so.
And so that's why I asked that question, because I didn't know that.
Yeah, that would be my evaluation on this, is that it's not really a planning and zoning issue. It's more of a flood management issue, I guess. And
can we vote on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kicked to you anyway. the city council will have to approve it on their agenda also, just like everything else. And so I just see no problem you guys approving it. I think that'll be all right.
I'll make the motion that we approve it.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, any and all projects within the city. That would be you.
I don't have anything, I can bring you up to speed on what's happening with the old Midway Motel, if you like, now called Patty's Motel. They have got all their electrical done. They don't have the HVAC units in yet. They have one of them in, just to see if it's gonna be sufficient. All the painting is done, except for some trim work. They've got all of the flooring is going in right now. I would think that they'll be open in another 2 weeks at the outside.
Great, great to hear.
That'd be great. Sure looks a lot better.
And
It does look really
they
nice.
have done a marvelous job on upgrading that thing, because it was my first inclination was take a dozer to it and push it down.
Mine too.
Has there been, next item on the agenda, address any comments and or complaints received?
I do not believe we have had any comments.
Okay. At this time, we'll open the meeting up to public comment related to any matters within the city of Caliente. In consideration of others who may wish to provide public comment, please avoid repetition and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes.
Again, I still have those 3 items I'd like to put on that. In fact, I had another motorhome hook up to a house this week. And I think we can understand part of it, but I had another motorhome hook up to a house that I saw this week. And sometimes you gotta give them a little time, but how much time do we give them before we say, okay, we shouldn't do that? And I know what we're running through right now with all this crazy stuff in the country right now, in the world right now, but how long do we do that? I mean, so we probably need to also talk about that situation as well. And not only do we have James an issue that bothers me, I also have Gary Barnett's property that if it was weeds, we'd say, clean it up. But, so my 3 items in the cats situation, but
But it will be on our next agenda then.
Yes, no, it will be.
But I would still like to have answers. If somebody had a problem, what do they do? So I think that'll be something we need to talk about. Because we used to have a dog catcher and all that other stuff, but we don't have that. So where do we go for assistance in situations like that? But I do have a positive comment too. You know, the liquor store looks nice. I mean, another business on Main Street, on Spring Street, that's just adding to the city and making things look better. And it's just nice to see people taking more pride in doing things correctly and adding more to it. So I'm excited.
Any other, Tommy?
Yes, the last meeting, I had to remember, out some information on our industrial park. On our next meeting here of the planning commission, there'll be a Jim Boren, who is gonna apply for a business license construction he's gonna do at the industrial park. Sure would like to give some ideas on how we should, how the lease should read. We have to help them.
Do we have, can I ask him a question in comments? I'm just asking if we have sewer and power all the way out to the industrial park. Is there sewer and power all the way out to the industrial park?
Yes,
Is there sewer and power all the way across the road?
no,
Yeah,
there's power, but not sewer.
So,
they said there was sewer all the way up to
To the end of the industrial park.
Huh?
To the end of the industrial park. But it doesn't cross the highway.
I was told that it did.
will you find out about that so we can know that when we go to the next meeting?
I'll find out.
Because that's important.
When Mr. Bourne comes in, will he be providing any specialty requirements as far as the sewer situation?
Well, their sewer serves the industrial park, but it stops at the west end of the industrial.
Right. But unless his business plan has changed, there may be some specialty needs on that sewer.
There will be. There will be special.
I don't know. It
I think
doesn't sound like it.
we'll find out more about it. I think it's just a.
So you have all that? Okay. So at this time, we'll schedule the date and review the agenda topics for the next meeting.
Okay, so we should be on April 21st, 5 p.m. as usual. We're going to add all the agenda topics that were in the last minutes. The trailers that are plugged in on lots, yards, disposing dead animals, lights at the park, accumulated tires, and then also, I just wondered if we should just address it as yard cleanup, or do we need to specifically note who? Because I was under the impression we have to kind of go out first and look, and then have particular people, I don't know.
All depends on what, I would list them individually specifically,
Okay.
just in case there's any actions.
So, so what does that mean? Just people that want to complain about specific neighbors? Or are we going out and doing a blanket, let's look at all the properties in town?
Well, this board has discussed specific pieces of property that you guys want to talk about in this meeting.
Oh, okay.
Such as the cat house, I guess is what I'll call it this time. The Barnett House, which Commissioner Phillips has talked about, the Tops Tires. So if we're gonna,
Damon.
if there's gonna be any discussion specifically about those, we need to list them individually.
James.
And yeah, and whatever else, whatever other property you guys want to talk about.
Okay.
Because if there's any action that this board's gonna take on those or recommendations, then they need to be specifically listed, and then those people need to be notified prior to the meeting that their items are discussed as well.
So, okay, I'll ask you later.
Okay, so technical question. Are we as a board bringing them up or are individual people? Because if we as a board are bringing up specific properties, I would think we as a board would need to bring up all properties that we have issues with, not just 3 or 4.
I don't
I'm
know.
just asking.
Right, I don't know what other properties we have problems with. I'm only getting my list from what has already been discussed at these meetings. And so, I mean, if there's other properties you want to discuss, that's fine. But the only properties I know of are the ones that we've discussed previously in this meeting.
And do you agree that we should have an address for those on the agenda?
Yes,
Yes, there should be an address, and then each individual listed should be notified prior to the meeting on the 21st.
And still notify the 300-foot property owners within 300 feet?
Well, we're not, I don't know, because we're not doing any variances. We're bringing them in and saying, hey, this is what we expect. This is
I like that idea. Give them a little notice that they're being noticed.
Okay, at this point, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Pass that down that way.
Thank you.